Welcome everyone to TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. They twice a week all sports podcast where myself, your host TJ, is accompanied by the Grumpy Old Man. They say there's no shame in his game because he's always the same.
That's me.
Well, you change up your seating arrangement over here. What's
Yes,
going
I did. I'm moving and grooving.
Why are you moving?
I just feel like it. I'd like to keep things on an even keel. Hey, keep them guessing.
Oh, there it is. But for those of you who are new to the show, welcome again. As I mentioned, this is a twice a week all sports podcast that takes place every Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're new to the show, we invite you to stick around a while. We invite you to subscribe on YouTube, to like on Facebook, and to follow on Twitter. Today, we're going to be talking. We got some Cristiano Ronaldo and Manchester United exclusive interview with Piers Morgan. He said the quiet part out loud. Regarding his situation, we've got a lot to cover in this week's NFL. We got a lot to cover from college football as well over the last 2 weeks. We haven't had a show, Grumpy. So we haven't had a show in a while. So we've got a lot to catch up on. But this is a show where we talk, again, everything sports. We talk NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, college football, European soccer. We're going to be talking about the World Cup. There's a lot to talk about on this show, especially since we missed some time. But let's dive right into it, Grumpy Old Man. Did you happen to see what's going on with Cristiano Ronaldo?
He is unhappy. I think we can surmise how this all played out, can't we?
What
do you want to post are you going to post what he was said, or do you want to play something and then listen to me talk about it? How do we want to do that?
Holy
you said
shit.
We had an interview with Piers Morgan, where Cristiano, in essence, said that Manchester United is trying to get rid of him.
Correct. And it's more of, we've been talking about how relations were not good between Cristiano and the club and the manager, Eric Ten Hag. And, so we kind of spoken about this before. This is big news. First time, I guess, coming out there and speaking to the press. And because it's Cristiano, right, it's going to garner huge views and huge media attention. I assume he's played his last game for Manchester United. This is the same club and organization that prevented him from transferring a few months ago. He wanted to transfer in the summer. They wouldn't let him leave because he had an important role to play. And, they wouldn't sub him on late in games when they were losing by too many goals because he respects Cristiano. Eric Ten Hag respects Cristiano too much to do that to him.
Here's what happened. To cut through all the bull from both sides. Cristiano wanted to leave in the summer. Did not want to be there. Why? Because he knew he was not going to be part of Eric Ten Hag's plan.
Well, and because there was no Champions League.
Right. He was not going to be part of Eric Ten Hag's plans. He was not going to be part of Champions League. And he knows this is his last World Cup. He needed to be getting meaningful minutes so he'd be ready to play come November and December for the World Cup for Portugal. From Manchester United's point of view, they looked at it they really didn't want him. He made too much money. He was too much of a headache. But they needed him just in case the young guys didn't pan out and they could not turn the team around. They needed him as a safety net, so to speak. They found out that, okay, we're playing pretty well without him. Now we feel free to move him. And so they've just treated him like absolute garbage after whatever, week 3, week 4. He's been just relegated to bench team, playing Europa League, stuff like that. So Cristiano is understandably upset. Manchester United is trying to make money back on him. I don't think they're going to be able to do that. It's an untenable situation. He needs to just be let go anywhere he wants. People forget Ten Hag, when Chelsea was looking at Cristiano Ronaldo this summer.
Well, tell everybody, Eric Ten Hag, Grumpy, remember, you got to tell them.
I'm trying to get to it.
Who is Eric Ten Hag?
He's the manager of Manchester United.
Thank you.
Spoke with his friend Thomas Tuchel, who was the manager of Chelsea Football Club. The ownership of Chelsea wanted Cristiano there. Ten Hag spoke with Tuchel and said, he's not going to fit your system.
Ten Hag, right, the coach of Man United, spoke with the coach of Chelsea and said, the manager of Chelsea, and said, he doesn't fit your system. Is exactly right. The ownership of Chelsea, who's a new owner, by the way, of that club, wanted to bring him in. But the
Yes.
manager, a friend of another manager who was there at Chelsea, spoke with him, said, you don't want him. He doesn't fit your system. And it prevented the move and kind of stonewalled his ability to move this summer.
Correct. That's correct.
And now, since we're kind of caught up in a quick abridged version, this is what happened. He spoke with Piers Morgan, uncensored, an exclusive interview, Grumpy.
That's what I like.
Yes, not only the coach, but the other 2 or 3 guys there around the club.
At the senior executive level.
Yes, that I felt betrayed.
And you think they're trying to get rid of you?
Honestly, I shouldn't say that. I don't know. But listen, I don't care. I'm always, people should listen the truth. Yes, I feel betrayed. And I felt that some people that don't want me here, not only this year, but last year too.
So in a situation where he's saying he feels betrayed, people didn't want him to succeed there, didn't want him there. And, for a guy like this, he's a club legend. Even though he went to Real Madrid and was dominant for that club, I'd argue, the most dominant player in all of world football, he still had a huge impact for Manchester United and for, Sir Alex Ferguson and for those teams.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think he was talking about Ralph Ragnick, the guy who was the coach of Manchester United last year, who took over for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He was not a Cristiano Ronaldo fan as well. And I think people forget, when you are a player who is so good, I think sometimes you struggle when you're not as dominant as you used to be. And Cristiano's not as dominant as he used to be. That being said, he deserved better than he got at Manchester United. I thought it was a mistake when he signed there last year. On this very show, I said that's a mistake, him going there. He should have went somewhere. Should have went to Manchester City. He was talked out of going to Manchester City by Sir Alex Ferguson, saying, you can't do that. This is your home. He was talked into going to Manchester United, back to Manchester United. There's an old saying, you can never go home again. And I think Cristiano is seeing that now.
And I think that's an apt way to put it. And you look at here, right, during that same interview talking about Erik ten Hag, he said, I don't have respect for him because he doesn't show respect for me. If you don't have respect for me, I'm never going to have respect for you. And again, this was, remember, he walked off the pitch after being told to warm up a few times and after being told he was going to be subbed in and then being subbed in the 90th minute, or being told he was going to try to sub him in the 90th minute after being, told, hey, you're going to come in earlier, twice before that game. And he just walked off the field. Then he sent him to the under 21s where he was training with the kids, not on the everyday lineup there for Man United. And he hasn't been part of the starting lineup here for the last I believe, two Premier League games. Haven't even dressed him. And this is a guy where you're right. He is in, this is his last World Cup. This is the last real piece of hardware that Cristiano hasn't earned. He's won himself a league title in the Premier League. He's won himself a league title in the Spanish league.
Many league titles in the Spanish league. Many league
I'm
titles.
just saying many. I'm just saying for the hardware, right? He's won league titles, and he won a league title in the Premier League. He's won league titles in the Spanish league. He's won league titles in the Italian league. He's won multiple Champions League. He's been Ballon d'Or winner, so the best football player in the entire world. He's won all this hardware, and the one piece of hardware that they're all vying and trying to fight for is the World Cup. And he needs to be in shape, game-playing shape, and he's not getting any time there at Man United.
Here's the thing that people don't understand about world soccer. The players rule. The players, they know that players win games and coaches lose them. They know it. Players are dominant in world soccer. When they want to go somewhere or they want to leave, they get to leave. Ten Hag played it different this year. And when Cristiano says he doesn't respect Ten Hag, I want to know what Erik ten Hag has ever won. The answer is nothing. Absolutely nothing. He didn't want him there. He was a safety net in case everything fell apart for Manchester United this year. That's what he
And
was.
Cristiano saw that too. It's not like he didn't see that writing on the wall. They want to run a style where you've got to be, much higher. Strikers got to press. They got
Playing
to do this.
defense.
It's not. Yeah, his job is to put the freaking ball in the net.
He's never been. Look at all the great players in the world. The great offensive players, right?
Forwards,
you think
the
about
great
it,
forwards.
right? In soccer, you don't score a whole lot, so it's not like, okay, hey, there's 30 points a game. One goal makes a difference. If you are truly a great scorer, you sacrifice some other parts of the game. You have other guys on the team who trend back and play defense. Leo Messi doesn't play defense. Kylian Mbappe doesn't play defense. Neymar doesn't play defense.
Haaland doesn't play defense. All of the really good forwards do not play defense. They're told to focus on, you've got one job. You put that ball in the back of the net at a higher pace than anybody else does. And, we need you to do that. We can take care of the defensive end. We can have 10 or 9 guys focused solely on defense. And your job is to put that damn ball in the net.
Right. And he did it better than anybody else for the longest time.
More career goals than any other footballer who has ever tied up a pair of boots. He has scored more goals than any single world footballer. More than Pele, more than Puskas, more than any single footballer in the game.
A truly gifted player, hardest worker on the team. Ego, without a doubt. Ego, without a doubt. Selfish as a player? Absolutely. But the drive was always there. It was always about winning for him. I'll take a guy like that on my team anytime.
I was about to say, Michael Jordan had ego. Tom Brady had every single one of the guys who were the best at their profession have to have that edge and have to have that ego. It pushes them to be better. They're the megalomaniacs. They're guys who are, the best at their craft in the entire world.
At anything, have an ego.
Cristiano Ronaldo also said, I love Manchester United. I love the fans. They're always on my side. But if Manchester United want to do it different, they'd have to change many, many things. The progress has been zero since Sir Alex Ferguson left the club. And he's not wrong.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
The team has been peddling in mediocrity despite throwing hundreds of millions of dollars, more money for like a decade to 2-decade time period than any other team has been able to throw at players, and they have not been successful across any stretch of the board. They haven't been successful in league play. They haven't been successful in Champions League. They have been just a mediocre team for how much money they put in.
Right. People, and here's the thing, it's tough for American audiences to know what an iconic brand Manchester United is unless you follow it like we do.
It's enough of a household name where people in the United States know what Manchester United is.
They're like the Yankees.
Correct.
In English, but that's what they're like, the Yankees. They're
but with a fraction of the success.
A brand, and they've just not been good. They've not been good. And they thought, I felt bad for Cristiano when he went back there. I knew it was going to end poorly. I mean, he saved, last year they didn't qualify for Champions League. They qualified for Europa League. And that was all because of Cristiano Ronaldo. He saved them so many times. Is he the player he was 5 years ago? No, at 37 years old, he's not. But he's still the most skilled player on that Manchester United team. Does he play defense? Not really. Not anymore. He will for Portugal because it means something to him now. But he's just a different player than he was. He's 37 years old. His time is just about done. They did him wrong, though. A club legend like that, they did him wrong. And like I said, Erik ten Hag's never won anything. Right now, Manchester United is in position to make Europa League again next year. That's like the Yankees. I don't know what you would.
It's like the Yankees not making the postseason.
Right. Every year
after year, they don't make the postseason. They don't even have a chance to play freaking the MLB postseason. Europa League is so far beneath. It's like, hey, Europa League is like, hey, we're in 5th or 6th position. Technically 5th, you have a chance to play in for a Champions League spot. But it's still right. They're lined up right now probably to be in Europa League. And everything's going well. Liverpool is not going to be playing in freaking Europa League. They're hot on the freaking tails of Man United. Man United's probably going to be finishing 6th or 7th in the league. And you think to yourself, I'm like, Yeah, you want to go ahead and have another mediocre finish, and you, in my opinion, right? There's no way Eric Ten Hag can do any right with how he's handled this situation.
No.
No way possible because of what he's done to a club legend like this. Cristiano Ronaldo supersedes Manchester United. He supersedes any team he's played on before because he's that freaking special and that iconic. It's the same thing with Messi. They supersede Barcelona. They supersede PSG because they're that special.
True.
It's like Tom Brady supersedes the New England Patriots and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because he's that freaking iconic and that special.
Yes.
When you think of names that you don't think, oh, Indianapolis, you think Peyton Manning, right? You think Indianapolis Colts, you think Peyton Manning, and you think of Peyton Manning, he supersedes the Colts.
Yes. Those are the truly, when you think Chicago Bulls, you think Michael Jordan.
Correct.
When you think Golden State Warriors, you think
Steph Curry.
Thank you. When you think Boston Celtics, you think Larry Bird.
Yeah.
That's just the way
They've had a lot of successful players.
Yeah, but it's Larry Bird. It's Larry Bird. When you think New England Patriots, like you mentioned before, you think Tom Brady. Maybe not with Tampa. He hasn't been there long enough.
I mean, he supersedes, meaning they're more iconic than the team themselves.
Yes. When you think New York Mets, you think Tom Seaver. I mean, those are legends of the game for those particular teams. And in sports, they need to be treated a little bit differently with a little bit more respect.
To have such bad and poor relations with a guy who is a legend and an icon of the sport, was an ambassador, even when he wasn't still there on your team, was still an ambassador for your freaking club, and you shit on his day like that, it is awful. If you had no plans to use him, and because trust me, he was upfront, he was forthright and honest that, hey, I need playing time to make sure I'm able to play for the World Cup. Oh no, you've got a role here, you've got a spot here. That's what Eric Ten Hag said all preseason. Oh no, he's got a role, he's got a spot, he's valuable to us, he needs to stay here with us. They refuse to let him leave, and they play him as a backup. That's just, you lied to the guy who's an icon, who needed to go ahead and need to be in game shape to be ready for the World Cup, and you lied to him for the possibility that, oh well, our plans may not go awry, and he's our backup.
He's also, like we mentioned, I don't know if it was this show or the Islanders Never Say Die podcast. We mentioned guys who do a whole lot of work in the community.
Yes.
And for underprivileged and for hospitals. Cristiano does that. And you know what he doesn't do? He's not putting it on Instagram, all the stuff he does. He's got the biggest following in the world. And you don't see him, hey, I went to a hospital today to visit sick children. You don't see that. Or, hey, I gave this amount of money for youth sports, or I've done this. You don't see him do that. You don't see him do that. So he's another one of those athletes who does these things that kind of get overlooked.
A lot of soccer players and world football players are like that because they come from very humble beginnings.
That's exactly right. You'll see, there's videos on YouTube, you'll see where people just run onto the pitch to see Cristiano, and he doesn't shy away or say, oh no, back off. He always engages with them. He's very kind with them. You know, you can just tell. Does he have an ego? Yes, absolutely. But you know what? He's a person of compassion also. I know it sounds like a Cristiano kiss fest right now, but I just think some guys get a bad rep because maybe they're so competitive and they are selfish in their sport. He's not like Terrell Owens, though. I mean, it's different. American athletes are absolutely different than athletes from around the world, without a doubt. The sense of entitlement when you're an American athlete is it's paramount compared to everything else. And I just feel bad for the way I knew it was going to end like this, because he's a guy, he wants to play as long as he can. And he still thinks he's the player he was 5 years ago. And he's not. He can't run like he used to, but he can still do everything else. Does he jump as high, which was like, a full foot higher than everybody else? No, but maybe 6 inches.
Does he run faster than everybody out there on the pitch? No.
Not anymore. He's still pretty fast. But what does he do? He's the greatest player in finding open space in close to the box. Oh, even to this day, whenever you see him, he's always gets himself open at critical times.
It's like Gretzky. when he
Yeah.
always found a way to knew where the puck was going to be or where the puck should
Yes.
be and found a way to benefit from that.
Yes.
So
True legend of the game. You hate to see him go out like this,
I'm
honestly.
happy he'll be gone. As I told you before, when he walked off the pitch, good for him. I remember I told you that originally. We had that big discussion.
It was
I'm
still a
happy he
bad
walked off. No, it wasn't. They have fucked him over just like I told you they did, and it just came out and was verified by him. Like, yeah, they have no respect for me. I don't have any respect for him. Let him freaking go. Let him go. That's all.
Yes, they should let him go. I don't care if you don't make any money back. Let him go. And he was willing to take a pay cut to leave in season before the season started.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. The Wicker Man, we get some comments here because we still want to cover, there's some football items we want to cover today, some American football items we want to cover, and a few funny items along the way. The Wicker Man says, Grumpy, I thought the Bills were going 15-2. LOL. The Bills,
maybe.
how the hell did they find a way to lose to the Vikings?
I don't know. They had that game in the bag. There was a fumble. They gave that game away. They had that game was over.
They've done that a lot this year. They've found ways to lose, and that's not usually indicative of a team that could win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's a little concerning for me. It really is.
They did it really quickly. They did it against Miami.
Yeah.
They did it today against the Vikings. And who else did they lose?
The Jets.
The Jets. They found a way to lose against the Jets.
Yep. Games they all imminently winnable. Let's give a little bit of credit to Minnesota though. They're 8-1.
Let's give some credit to let's give some credit to Justin Jefferson. This catch.
Incredible.
Right here. An incredible catch.
He's given time. He wants Jefferson. Climbs the ladder. Oh my goodness! Justin Jefferson.
Incredible.
They're about to show it in slow-mo. Unfreaking believable.
Fourth down conversion.
18. And when you see that freeze frame, one hand is Justin Jefferson, one hand is the Buffalo Bills defenders that they're coming down together with on this ball. And Justin Jefferson fights for this ball.
I say the Buffalo guy's got two hands on the ball.
It looks like one.
I think he's got two hands on it, and he just yanks it away.
And he's the beneficiary of that. Unfreaking real. I mean, when you really quickly look at this throw too, Grumpy, look at this throw. He throws this Kirk Cousins. Really, I'd say he drops a dime into triple freaking coverage. You've got the linebacker 53. You got another corner coming back in that zone and the safety help over top. And he finds a way. It wasn't, it was just a jump ball. And he said, please go catch this.
That's what happens when you have a tremendous, and I mean a tremendous athlete at the wide receiver position. He's fantastic. I think he's the best wide receiver in the game.
Better than Jamar Chase.
Jamar Chase is fly ball down the field. That's Jamar. This kid runs every single route.
Okay.
Every single route.
Stephen S. says, the losing streak is finally over. Go Pack Go. My reverse jinx worked. I said our season was over after last week. We just took down the boys, the Cowboys, that being said. I've been waiting to say this, but how about them Cowboys?
How about them Cowboys? The Dallas Cowboys had a record going into today's game of throughout their history since their inception in 1960 or 61, whatever year it was. That's like 60, 61 years, however many years they've been in the NFL. When they had a lead in the fourth quarter of 14 or more points, they were 195-0. Now they're 195-1.
That's pretty decent, Grumpy, I'd say.
It is pretty good.
It's a pretty decent track record.
You know what it means? As an organization, you close the deal when you get up big.
Yes, and I do not know how the hell the Cowboys found a way to lose that game. No slighting the Green Bay Packers because, right, Christian Watson today went off 3 touchdowns. Maybe Aaron Rodgers has got a little bit of that connection going with Christian Watson.
I just don't think much of Mike McCarthy as a coach.
I don't either. But how the hell did the Cowboys find a way to lose that one? Because you're up 14 points going into in the fourth quarter. You should not find a way to lose that.
And think about it. CD Lamb went off today too. He had 11 catches for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns today, and they still lost. And Green Bay, they're not that good.
Green Bay's a struggling team right now.
Yes.
And that's a game that the Cowboys, on paper, should never have lost, but find
Never.
a way to lose.
And it was late. I mean, they were late in the fourth quarter. 5-6 minutes to go. I'm like, oh, this game's over.
The Cowboys went for it on 4th down, too, in overtime.
That's so dumb. That's my coaches. Players win games. Coaches lose them. That's what happened in that game. Punt the ball all the way down the field. Make them go. I'd rather take a tie than a loss by not converting on 4th down. And just to go back to the Buffalo game, and Josh Allen's thrown I think he's thrown 3 or 4 interceptions in the last 3 weeks inside the red zone.
Can't be doing shit like that.
He needs to stop being a gunslinger like that. Here's the thing.
It's almost like they should have added a tough running back to earn them yards when they've got 20 yards to go for a touchdown. It's almost like the Bills should have done that instead of picking up another pass receiving running back.
For me, he's just taking chances that he does not need to take with this team. McDermott needs to sit him down and talk to him about that. Hey, we know we're the best team. We know, and I still feel they're the best team. Are they going to win the Super Bowl? I don't know. They're still the best team in the league, but they need to start winning these games that they gave 3 games away this year. Gave them away.
Ugh.
They're still going to make the playoffs. They're still going to be in the championship game against Kansas City. But Kansas City knows how to win. Let's give Kansas City credit. They know how to win.
Wickerman said, yeah, that was some game by the Bills and the Vikings today.
Game of the year. And Stephon Diggs was tremendous today as well. Tremendous.
You're really already dubbing that game of the freaking year.
So far, right? It's not the game of the year so far. What game's been better?
No, you said so far. You didn't say that originally. Gungun says, Stephen asked, how was your presentation? Yeah, Stephen, how was the presentation? Jewel said, so how is Christian McCaffrey, or how is Christian Watson baby crazy? What happens when Roger throws him the ball?
Rodgers is going to throw you the ball until he trusts you. That's what.
Or he's not going to throw you the ball until
he's not going to throw you the ball until he trusts you. Now maybe he trusts him a little bit. Here's the thing. What's the first play of this season? 75-yard wide open touchdown pass. He drops right in his hands. Rodgers don't throw him the ball anymore for a while. Maybe, it got to the point, geez, we're 3-6, whatever they were. We're going to have to incorporate him catching the ball. Maybe that's what it took. The season's on the line.
Andrew L said, never thought I'd be saying this, but the Jets could be in first next week with a win.
They play the New England Patriots next week, who they just lost to and really should have beaten 2 weeks ago.
Yep. Gungun said, I'm flabbergasted how the Dolphins are number 1 in the AFC East, followed by the Jets, Bills, and Pats. Is this some sort of sick joke?
I don't think anyone looked at the AFC East and said, hey, that's the best division in football. With the NFC East second.
Yeah, I don't think anybody saw that or could have predicted that going into the season.
Look at how bad the NFC West is.
Awful.
You got 6-4 Seahawks, everybody else under 500.
Yep. Awful. Nobody would have expected.
The NFC South, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, as miserable, they played well today. Looks like they started mixing it up a little bit. Leonard Fournette went out with an injury. All of a sudden, the young running back who doesn't play twinkle toes at the line shows them a little bit of jump, gets 105 yards. They're 5-5, okay? And they're in first place by a game in the NFC South. The Vikings, 8-1. The Eagles, 9-0 or 8-0. I don't know if they had their bye last week. 8-0, 9-0, whatever the hell they are, undefeated. The Giants, 7-2. The Cowboys, 6-3, whatever they are. I mean, unbelievable. I did not foresee this going into the season.
I don't think anybody did. The league is close. The Bills are finding ways to lose games. You got to iron that shit out. But this is what you may be talking about. Now, this is a play. You talked about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They won today against the Seahawks. I thought they looked good. But this play right here is the one you're talking about, Crumpy. A wild calf formation. And I'll let you watch it. How it's almost like a comedy of errors.
Well, is this
Fournette? He is going to throw it to Brady. Oh, and Brady steps in his picked up by Tariq Woolen. Oh, my goodness gracious. Oh, boy.
I'll let you comment on it.
Okay, let me just tell you, 3 plays before, they did the same thing, And Brady was not covered. So Byron Leftwich, the genius offensive coordinator, says, hey, let's do it again. Maybe they won't cover him this time. You know they're going to cover him the second time you run a trick play. You know that.
Nobody's expecting Tom Brady to get the freaking football.
No.
45-year-old, slow as molasses quarterback, Tom Brady, to catch the ball on the outside edge.
I mean, the hero of the people also got a 15-yard penalty for tripping there, which I thought he hid pretty well. It did look like a trip, but they huddled up and they gave him a 15-yard penalty for tripping. But, hey, it's better to get that tripping penalty than let him run the ball all the way back.
Tom Brady said, if I don't slip, that's Randy over the top for 6.
I mean, you know what? He's got a good sense of humor. After the game, he said, yeah, I slipped. If I didn't slip, I at least would have knocked the ball away from him. That's what he said. I might not have caught it, but I was not going to let him get an interception.
Oh, good gracious.
I mean, it's nice to see them winning games. It makes me feel good when the hero of the people is once again leading comebacks for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And like I said, and Brady said 2 weeks ago, he's like, if we can win the next 2 games going into the bye, I'll feel good about this team. Well, they did. They're 5-5 going into their bye. They should win that division because it's a dumpster fire. Let's see what happens. You got to get hot at the right time, right?
Stephen S. says presentation went well. Made some mistakes,
Small mistakes.
such as small mistakes. Sorry, such as trying to figure out where the next line is, having to correct myself, and I messed up a word. Overall, the presentation was fantastic. Good to hear, Stephen. Good to hear. And he also says, obviously, we have to win a crap ton of games. Talking about the Green Bay Packers moving forward after today, but I was just happy we finally won a game. And to top it all off, it was against the Dallas Cowboys.
Here's what Green Bay has to hope, right? Eagles are going to win. Eagles are going to make the playoffs. Packers are going to make the playoffs. Bucks are going to make the playoffs. Somebody from the West is going to make the playoffs. So you have 3 wild cards, right? So you have figure the Giants 7-2. They're in the driver's seat for a playoff spot, right?
I'd say so. I still think they're pretenders, but I mean, Brian Daboll's a hell of a coach.
But they're 7-2. Then you have Dallas, who I believe is 6-3 now. They have the tiebreaker over Dallas, which is big for them. So if it comes down to a head-to-head between them and Dallas, who knows? They're going to have to start winning more games, though. They haven't looked good in those 5 losses. I mean, even when they beat Tampa, they didn't look good. Tampa was so banged up at the wide receiver position. It's the only reason they won. But, hey, they got the W.
They got that W. Goon says, thoughts on Edwin Diaz re-signing? Does Timmy Trumpet deserve a piece of that pie?
What's the website? And I think we referenced it on a previous show that kind of predicts what the dollar amounts are going to be for these players. They were spot on with Edwin Diaz, just spot on. And I love that Timmy Trumpet song. I love it.
Did you see the type of provision they gave him if they don't pick up his option?
No.
So they've got, there's also a tidbit. The Mets can exercise a 6-year team option that would pay Edwin Diaz $17.25 million in 2028. If they would forego that, they would pay the closer a $1 million buyout, and they would be paying him over between 2033 to 2042. They'd be paying him $26.5 million. So pretty much over. That's exactly what they said. They said, have the Mets learned nothing since Bobby Bonilla? That's literally what what its contract, what it's titled as, this item.
Yeah, when you mentioned it, when you started talking about them, I remembered it. Yes. Yeah. Well, hey. How old is he? How old is he?
I think he's relatively young. For a closer, he's young. You know what I mean? So it's not like he's an old closer or anything like that. I think he's Edwin Diaz, age 28. So he's young.
Okay. So he should still – they might pick up the option. I'm not a big believer in giving guys buyout clauses for like 100 years. Well, you see with Bobby Bonilla how that's worked out.
Yeah, they'll be paying Edwin Diaz $26.5 million between 2033 and 2042 on top of his $102 million contract.
If you're Edwin Diaz, do you hope that they buy you out?
Kind of, yeah, and I'll sign another contract somewhere else.
and you're nice to get that little. Here's the thing: as an athlete, I think even though the money you earn, it's still nice to know. Okay, I'm retiring, but I still have some money coming in. Whereas,
I
okay,
can
I'm
manage
done
to make
earning.
off of a few $1,000,000 a year.
Yeah, I'm done earning. So
Yeah, I'm shocked by that, Grumpy. It's nuts. You look at that. He could be earning himself some big dough. $26.5 million. Only 9 years, which is good. It wasn't like 18, like it was. How many years was it with Bobby Bonilla? Like 18?
they paid him till he's till 2035. He signed the contract, I think, in 1995. I mean, I think as long I think it pays until he's like 60 or 65 years old.
Jesus H.
I mean, it's
So
forever.
like $1.2 million and through 2035. Jesus.
Yeah. So how old is he?
I'm trying to remember when he signed that contract. God almighty, I'll try to pull it up here, Grumpy. It's nuts.
Yeah. I mean,
Bobby Bonilla will be 72 years old when the payments are complete.
Okay. So they've been paying off on that deal they'll be paying off on that deal for what, 40 years? I mean, 35 years, 40 years. Now, that's a good deal.
Yep.
His agent got a great deal.
He signed there. Think about this. Think about how different the MLB is now. When he originally signed that contract, he last played baseball in 2001.
Yeah. 21 years ago.
He signed a 5-year, $29 million contract in 1991. That was the richest contract in team sports at the time.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah, money is just blown up. But you think about it, right? 2021 till 2035. That's like 35 years.
I think it's longer than that. I don't know. Yeah. They spread it across 25 years. Yep. Bernie Madoff. Mets ownership instead agreed to defer Bobby Bonilla's salary with 8% interest and spread it over across 25 years from 2011 to 2035.
I mean, that's a good deal for Bobby Bonilla. I think it is, because you're earning money every single year. So let's say you're really poor with the money, right? And it's like, hey, I made $35 million. I pissed it all away buying Pez dispensers. Well, now you're getting that $1.2 million every single year, so you can still maintain whatever lifestyle you have, and you're able to make it on $1.2 million a year. I mean, I think it was a great deal for him. That's the greatest sports contract ever.
The greatest sports contract ever signed. Stephen S. said, outside of today's win, the Milwaukee Admirals are 7-4, and the Bucks are 10-2. Yeah, it's been a good week as a sports fan, and I'm finally finished my intro, my upcoming film I've been working on for 2 days.
Yeah, the Milwaukee Bucks have looked really good so far this year. I love Giannis. I like him.
There it is. He's got his film. He's working on that film. Joseph C. said the Knicks scored 48 points in the fourth quarter today and lost. There's talk that Thibodeau is on a hot seat. Meanwhile, the Knicks suck every year, regardless of head coach.
It's the team they put together. It's just not the right mix of guys. Sometimes they show it, sometimes they don't. I don't know what the room is like, but you got to think they don't have the right people there. And maybe it's just as much as being the head coach. I don't know, but it doesn't seem like it. Just seems like they have the wrong players.
Return of Jedi Rusty Spooner says Josh Norwood and the Buffalo Miserables. Let's go Jets. And let's go Islanders. The Buffalo Miserables.
It was Scott Norwood.
He said Josh. Anyway, Gungun says, should we dare predict how the Islanders will fare on this upcoming road trip versus so-so teams? The Islanders have an excellent road record so far. I wouldn't even call them so-so teams. They're miserable. We had a show earlier today. We were looking at it again. It's like 8 of our next 10 or 12 games are against teams that are in the bottom 10 of the NHL. You're playing bottom third teams for 70% of your next 10 to 12 game spread. It's very conceivable that the Islanders should come away with 70% of those points.
I would say more than that.
I think they're going to come away with they're going to find a way to come away with less points, but they should really be beating up against some of these really crappy teams. The Nashville Predators are not off to a good start. We play them a few times. The Blues have 7 losses in a row. The Blackhawks again are miserable. There's a lot of really bad teams we play over this stretch.
The Flyers.
The Flyers twice.
The wheels have come off of the Flyers. They lost to Columbus. They lost to did they lose to Arizona? Oh no, Ottawa. They lost to Ottawa, and today they got rolled by Dallas. I mean, the bloom has come off the rose for John Tortorella.
It's early yet. Yeah, the Lightning, by the way, are beating the Capitals 4-1.
Yeah.
So we'll have to let Hockey Troll. I'll have to get Chirp Hockey Troll.
I talked to him about that. I said you need to do an addendum to your podcast that we were on today, saying how I was right again, that they were going to get rolled by Tampa.
Joseph C. said they are just an endless purgatory of mediocre results, and it feels like it's never going to end. They're not bad enough to draft number 1 overall, and not good enough to be anything but a fringe playoff team.
He's talking about the Knicks.
Yep.
And that's the thing in the NBA. You almost have to bottom out. You have to bottom out and just start over. Because if you get on that treadmill of mediocrity, there's no getting out of it. And that's why I think a lot of teams are like that. It's like, and you just better just to tank for a few years, get some, high profile rookie players coming in and just build up from scratch. I mean, that's really the way it is in the NBA. And it's easier because you only have 12 players on the team. And really, the formula is 3 superstars and then solid role players.
Return of Jedi Rusty Spooner said, "You're awesome, Grumpy and TJ. Cheers. Thank you, Jedi Rusty Spooner." Greg Prado says, "Hey, Grumpy, born in the USA. I was born in the USA." And he also says, "Iron Maiden's going to get you."
It sounds like with the first comment that if you're writing books or some type of book on like the greatest albums, the top 50 albums of a 15 or 20 year time span, that would be one of the albums that would be included. Maybe not so much Iron Maiden, and let alone 2 Iron Maiden albums.
Stephen S. Grumpy's got a comment there for you.
Another day, another fantasy team bites the dust. As long as our opponent doesn't score over 40 points with the Everett and Samuel, watch out. We're moving into the final 5 next week. I'm shaking right now. Shaking. He spelled it shacking, but I think it's actually shaking.
Oh, man.
Watch out for Debo. He can put up points.
And then maybe
Frank,
it's Curtis Samuel, Grumpy. Anyway, Frank does say, "Hey, what's up, Frank? How are you?" And Return of Jedi Rusty Spooner says, "Is there a player we can afford to lose or get a first-round pick back for, and also not affect us possibly getting a player that we need to sign or that we can sign to finally get a Stanley Cup? Always so close, yet out of reach. FML, let's go Islanders."
There's 2 guys who can move, who would get solid value back: Scott Mayfield and Simeon Varlamov. Those are the 2 guys. How much of a difference does it make on this year's team with Varlamov? I don't think it makes any difference at all. Mayfield a little bit more, but the return that you're going to get for a guy who's going to be an unrestricted free agent and is going to go somewhere and get paid far outweighs what he brings on the ice right now. You have to transition. The transition has to start at some point in time. You don't want to double down on old.
He said also not affect us. So
I don't know how much that affects us.
I think it does a little bit. Absolutely.
Yeah, a little bit, but you have to, a good GM has to balance both. Be realistic. Is a team in line to win a Stanley Cup? Probably not. So what do you want to do? You have 8 of your forwards are on the wrong side of 30. Got to transition away.
And Rusty Spooner also says, when you think of Tampa, you think of Gruden and Warren Sapp.
I don't think of anybody when I think of
I don't either. I don't think they've got that type of player. I think of maybe Rondé Barber. He's got that huge smile.
No.
Okay. Joseph C. said, "I wonder how McDaniels and Hackett survived their respective seasons as head coaches. They've been awful. McCarthy is going to be, or is going to be gone too, for Sean Payton probably."
I don't know if New Orleans has a right of refusal or can demand compensation for Payton. I don't know how I don't know if they're paying him this year or not. but he will be back in the coaching game next year. It won't be with New Orleans. I don't think he wants to go back there. I think he'd love to go back to Dallas, where he worked as an offensive coordinator under Bill Parcells. McDaniels and Hackett will not survive and don't deserve to. And Mike McCarthy also needs to go.
I'll tell you this. When you think, I remember I told you McDaniel's shitty head coach.
Yep, you're right.
Continues to
You're
do
right.
that.
You're right.
Hackett, we all knew was going to be miserable. Remember that other? I talked about this on the Honors Never Say Die podcast. How's that Kyler Murray fella been doing so far this year, Grumpy?
It's hurt.
He's freaking a mediocre quarterback.
Injured.
They gave him that huge contract, big freaking mistake. As I told you, it was when they signed it. When they signed him,
He's injured.
stop.
He's injured. He's injured. He's injured. He's injured. It's hurt. Didn't even dress today. Hurt.
Yeah.
Injured.
Just as he said, what do you guys think about the Mets re-signing Jacob deGrom, by the way? I don't think it's going to happen. I don't see them giving him $90 million a year for, two aging starting pitchers.
The Mets have re-signed or picked up the option on Carlos Carrasco for relatively inexpensive. I think it was like $13.5 million, maybe 17. I don't know what it is, but certainly worth it to bring him back. DeGrom said he's going to test the market. I'm going to tell you right now, you're not getting a hometown discount if you want Jacob deGrom.
Correct.
He showed he can still pitch. When he returned this year, even after the injuries, he's already told the Texas Rangers that he's willing to explore going there. So they have money. Texas Rangers had a big offseason last year, bringing Corey Seager and Marcus Semien. And, they're in it to win it. I mean, Justin Verlander opted out of his contract with Houston. So he's a free agent. How would you like to see Jacob deGrom pitching for the Houston Astros? Do you think he'd ever lose a game?
I'm not sure, but as being a Mets fan, pony up and pay the guy. Pony up and freaking pay the guy. The guy's outstanding. He's phenomenal. He's spectacular. Pony up and pay the guy. I
don't know how many years he'd be looking for. That could be, okay. Does he want 5 years? Is he willing to go 3? Who knows? I mean, we're going to find out here in the next next month and a half.
The guy's a Hall of Fame caliber pitcher. Pony up
and
pay the guy.
He's great. He's been the best pitcher in the game, the last couple of years, notwithstanding of the last 5 years for certain.
Yep. Got to pay him. Got to pay him. Simple as that. So what's up, fams? Let's go, Jets. It was so great watching the Barfalo Miserables crash and burn back down to earth with Josh Norwood. I guess they're calling Josh Allen Josh Norwood, Grump.
Oh, that's it. Now it makes sense. Okay, now I got it. The little slow on the uptake. Sorry. Jeez. I should have known that. I should have picked up on that.
Joseph C. saying Buffalo having no run game year after year makes no sense. Their offense would be unbeatable with a credible running back. Absolutely. It's the thing they needed to address this year at the trade deadline. And I told you how dumb of a move that was. They bring in another pass-catching running back. They draft running back year after year after year because they don't have the right running back. Who trade for Christian McCaffrey? Trade for him. Jesus H. If they had Christian McCaffrey, they'd be freaking steamrolling every team that even looked at him funny.
Who did they – and think about it. Everyone said San Francisco gave up too much for Christian McCaffrey. I'm like, I didn't see that at all. A second, a third, and a fourth with maybe a fifth next year. That's it for a guy who, when healthy, is the best back in the game?
One of the best backs, absolutely.
I didn't understand that. I thought Buffalo should have been all in on him. You're 100% right, TJ. I hate to agree with you, but you were right on that one.
When you look at it, too, he would add so much.
Everything.
So much to that team. You've got fantastic wide receivers. You got a fantastic quarterback. You have a good offensive line. You have 0 running back options. And when it gets cold up there in Buffalo, when you're in the postseason, you're going to sometimes have to have some freaking rushing element. And you can't always say, hey, Josh Allen, I need you to run for 100 yards today on top of throwing for 350 in order to win us this game. That shit only lasts for so long. And you should want to keep your quarterback as healthy as humanly possible. He's the biggest long-term investment your team has.
True. But that's what it is. It's like Josh left, Josh right, Josh up the middle.
Yep, absolutely. And Adriel said Christian Kirk gets way too much disrespect. Yeah, he had a great game for the Jacksonville Jags today.
Yeah, but he's still he's a decent number 2. He's a number 1 there, They're a bad team.
Drew L said, my team is unstoppable with the dynamic duo of Justin Fields and Cole Kmet, combined 70 points between them both. Yeah, I don't think Justin Herbert or I saw the field. Justin Fields has run for more yards than any quarterback during the Super Bowl era over 5 consecutive weeks. He's rushed for more yards than any other quarterback in the history of the game in the Super Bowl era.
Yes, that's correct.
That's not. I don't expect him to continue to break every record running the ball a million times. Here's the thing: those rushing look at what's happened when Lamar Jackson came bursting onto the scene. Whoa, he's so fantastic. He's the greatest quarterback, the greatest thing since sliced bread. He's been a mediocre quarterback, a really special athlete, but a mediocre quarterback. He was not only a great athlete, but a freaking fantastic QB. The first year he exploded on the scene. Robert Griffin III with the injuries that didn't help, but a lot of those quarterbacks who rely heavily upon their feet and don't rely upon their arm, it's such a fait accompli. It's such one of those where it's like, yeah, it just doesn't last long term.
That's the problem with what they're producing in college, right? The pro game has to mimic the college game eventually, and that's what you're seeing now. Everyone's running the spread offense. It's more athlete than quarterback. At the end of the day, you're going to have to find somebody who can make plays standing in the pocket. I mean, the NFL is still a game. They got the best athletes out there. You just can't run around all the time. Can't do it. The guys who are able to transition from galloping around and running 60-yard runs, 75-yard runs every other play, those are the guys who turn into really good NFL quarterbacks. Patrick Mahomes is an example of one, right? He has the ability to run. And in last week's game on Monday night, he absolutely did that to win the game. But that's not what he's about. He's not about running. Hey, I'm going to run. I'm going to be Lamar Jackson. I'm going to be Justin Fields. I'm going to be, just someone who wants to run the ball all the time. Josh Allen is another one of those type guys. They run when they have to or need to, not just as, well, that's just part of the offense.
Got to bring this up. We got to put some Dolphin fans in their place, Grumpy. We're talking about one fan. No, I'm just kidding. Tua Tagovailoa had another good game passing the ball, or another good statistical game passing the ball. As you could see, Tua, most valuable player. Look at that.
God.
He's the NFL midseason award for most valuable player. Tua Tagovailoa.
Oh no, he missed how many games when he was like on the floor on the sideline. No. Sorry.
Well, let me ask you this: what did you think about his play so far this year?
I think his weapons. This is what we expect. What did we say going into the season?
I would be disappointed if he didn't throw for over 30 touchdowns and like 4,000 passing yards. Yes, I'd say I'd be disappointed with anything less.
That's right, because of the weapons he has around him, and he's utilizing those weapons. And Jeff Wilson, he's the lead dog there in Miami now. Raheem Mostert is another guy from that San Francisco system that Mike McDaniels runs. And I'm just going to say that they're the perfect running backs for this team right now. And you got Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Some days they're going to have big days. Some days they're not. But they are running the San Francisco offense with a better quarterback than Jimmy Garoppolo. I'll just put it that way. I think Tua is better than Jimmy Garoppolo.
I think Jimmy Garoppolo blows his Tua better. Sure, maybe. I just still don't think much of Tua as a QB.
His arm is not great. I don't know how he would play in a weather game.
Plays in sunny, fantastic Miami, Florida.
Well, that's great, but you might have to go. I'll be interested to see how he plays in Buffalo in December.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say not well.
Well, I'm just like I said, that's a big game for him. Can he throw the ball in those winds in Buffalo? Can he go up to New York and throw in, Giant Stadium? MetLife Stadium. Can he do that in December? I don't know.
Alexander did send us a tweet. He said, we do have an apology form for Tua.
Alexander, man, I love Alexander. He's the best.
It does have a from and date. The reason for behavior. The media told me he was a bust. I didn't actually watch the Dolphins games. I only follow Omar and Armando on Twitter. I don't think a lefty could be successful in the NFL. I'm jealous of Tua, and I didn't watch Tua. And at the bottom it says, I will hereby respect to Tagovailoa, and will not talk down to the future first ballot Hall of Famers, what it says down there. At the
I
bottom.
think there should have been one more box. Pump the brakes, please.
We need to pump the brakes.
He's not even the best quarterback in his division.
Oh, man, I'll tell you. I'll freaking tell you. You know what I just noticed in a fantasy game? I didn't even look at who I was playing against you, and if I started the right people, I would have beat you.
You lost. I beat you in 2 fantasy leagues. Then let's talk about it. Let's talk about that. I have no problem with that. I dominated you. You would dominate. Throttled, my friend. Throttled.
Yeah, take your little freaking easy win now and just be happy. Put a smile on
You played who you wanted to play.
Hold on.
Hindsight 2020, right?
Pollard was no. I didn't look at it. Because I did see that Kyler Murray was not starting. I said, "Oh, I need to get a quarterback real quick," and then I fell asleep. But no, I didn't.
So what are you saying? If you played Tony Pollard instead of Alvin Kamara
and Jeff Wilson, yeah.
No, okay.
They
So those two guys
both had 50 points total. I don't know. I just was looking down there. I was like, "Oops, I made a mistake."
Well, I didn't play Raheem Mostert today instead of Juju Smith-Schuster. That would have given me another.
Hold on. You wouldn't have known Juju had a concussion. I did know that.
So hold on. You're going to try to tell me that you would have started Tony Pollard and Jeff Wilson over Alvin Kamara and Travis Etienne? You're full of shit. You're lying.
I would have started him over freaking DeAndre Swift, who's been running as a backup because of the injury.
So that's one guy.
DeAndre Swift.
Let's just
another 20 points on the freaking total board for me, Grumpy.
Let's look at it this way. I beat your ass like a redheaded stepchild.
Your
you
team
got
sucks.
throttled.
Your team sucks.
Dominated.
Your team sucks, and you're going to freaking face the wrath of my team later on this year.
All right, sure.
And the postseason, Grumpy, you're going to be sucking.
Right. Tell me again, you're going to start Jeff Wilson over Alvin Kamara.
I didn't say that. Are you dumb? Are you mental? Over DeAndre Swift, Grump.
You lost.
DeAndre Swift, Grump.
Done.
Rusty Spooner also says, Grumpy, the Jets over the Bills, along with the number 1 defense also. The Bills are on a losing streak, and the Jets started Josh Norwood. Isn't that guy? Jet up. Jets up.
Jets, they on bye this week?
They got a bye, I think.
I think they're on a bye this week.
Yeah, this week.
Let's be honest. Both New York teams have overperformed expectations this year, without a doubt.
Yep.
Sauce Gardner, great job. I think they should have drafted the offensive tackle, but he's been really good at cornerback for them. Shut down. He has been. So I might be wrong on that.
Got a comment here for you, Grumpy.
Alexander says, "Hey guys, what's up? Oh, what's up? Guess what? The Dolphins are in first place. Are they? I think they are, because they think they have the head-to-head win over Buffalo. I think both teams are 7-3, right?
Holy shit. Yeah, they are. And did you, really quickly aside, did you happen to see the hit that happened to Juju Smith-Schuster?
I did not. I was doing work for Sun X today.
Oh God. Let me put you like this. It's one that I think he'll probably get thrown out. He'll probably get. I don't know.
Fine.
You have to assume he got suspended or he got thrown out of the game. I'll let you watch it. It's one of those to where it's like
Patrick Mahomes slinging one. Oh boy!
Helmet to helmet.
Oh, he's got that little hand thing.
Well,
I didn't get to see it. It kind of glitched.
They're going to show the replay.
In the air like that, Juju is going to be done for the day. Hope he is okay. But in the latest version of player health and safety, Andy Reid knows that he just lost one of his wide receivers for the rest of the afternoon there. Juju with the defender lowering the shoulder, and there is
helmet to helmet
contact there. I didn't see a penalty come in. Was there a penalty flag?
There was a penalty flag that was thrown in. Okay, when you do shit like that, the first point of contact is the helmet of the defender on the helmet of the freaking wide receiver. I mean, that's one of those where it's like, hey, yeah, and again, you're going to get suspended. And here's the thing, too. When guys do that more than one time, it's like one of those things where it's like, okay, boom. You get the Vontaze Burfict treatment. Okay.
Who was it?
Number 5. I couldn't even tell you. Number 5 for the Jags.
I don't know. It looks like he's easing up, actually. He's kind of back on his heels a little bit as he's coming at him. I don't know. I don't think there's going to be – I mean, you look at – he's back – the Jacksonville guy's back on his heels. Looks like he's trying to ease up a little bit, and Schuster's running right into him.
He caught the ball, and it's like, right, he's caught the ball. He doesn't even have it. He's just turning his head here, And he's like, I've got a guy coming here.
Okay,
He's trying to put his foot in the ground and try to avoid this guy now.
Lowering the shoulder. And
I don't know.
You certainly cannot do that shit.
Okay, I'm just saying it's a bang play. It looked like to me he tried to pull up a little bit. That's what it looked like. I'm not saying
It's
that
a bang play. Where do you tackle people, Grump?
Well, everybody just hits it. I mean, is that the big kid from Notre Dame?
No. What? No, you're talking about Hamilton. He plays for the Ravens.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's right.
This is
I keep on looking at these stupid helmets, and I'm thinking Ravens.
Andre Cisco from Syracuse.
Okay. Cisco kid was a friend of mine.
So, yes, scary injury. Hopefully, Juju will be back soon. Not just simply because he's on my fantasy team, but you don't want to see a guy injured.
He's on one of my fantasy teams, and I still beat you even with them out.
Cute. Gungun
This is the biggest win of the year. Yeah.
Dan Carlson, the freaking Vegas Raiders lose. They freaking find a way to lose. I got to talk to you about that, by the way.
Head coach.
About the Indianapolis Colts. We'll talk about that in a second.
Okay.
Gungun says, curious to see how the Jets will play against Pat Sunday. I can easily picture a victory or a fake Spike-esque fiasco.
I'm going to tell you what, the Jets are better than New England. They are. But they do Jets things at important moments a lot of the time.
It doesn't happen overnight. I still think Robert
They
Saleh
beat Buffalo because Buffalo does Buffalo things at important times.
So I want to take a quick aside because we saw a knockout. I want to show you two other knockouts. Now, again, because we're not going to show fan fights as much just because unless I have a chance to pre-vet them before the show, I want to make sure the violence is not too crazy where it's going to like block or age restrict the video. But this happened, Grumpy, in a minor league hockey game. And I'll let you watch it. These two guys going at it.
Oh, hell, you don't see fights like this in a while. Oh, both guys got knocked out. I love that one.
A little double knockout. You don't see that as right.
Oh, my God. That was great. And that was fast and
Both
furious.
got some bloody noses.
He's leaking. The other guy, he punched his helmet off. Oh, man, they're throwing haymakers.
They both collapse.
That's a good fight right there. That's a good one.
I was about to say that is an excellent fight there, Grumpy. So we saw that. I want to show you too. Did you happen to see Jeff Saturday, head coach right now for the Indianapolis Colts? What are your thoughts?
It worked this week. That team was just dead. What's the first thing? He puts Matt Ryan in at quarterback. Matt Ryan finished the game for them. Jonathan Taylor. Well, what do you know? They've dedicated to running the ball. Doesn't help my fantasy team in the damn money league now since I'm practically eliminated from the playoffs. But he was great today. Where's he been all year? Again, players win games, coaches lose them. Jonathan Taylor is the best player on your team, and you limit his touches every week. I know he was injured for a little bit, but even before then, he wasn't getting the ball. That's on Frank Reich. Or he wasn't putting him in the best chance to succeed. They come in, Jeff Saturday, former offensive lineman, former center for the Indianapolis Colts. You could just tell there's life on the sidelines.
Well,
it brings everybody else. I don't know how much of a bump they're going to get long term, but it certainly was a good week one for him.
Bill Cowher had quite some thoughts about it, is all I'll say. I want to show this Mike Pereira. Now, this is all over social media.
I hate these guys. I hate him.
I want you to watch this, and I want to get your reaction. Do you think it's getting a lot of press for like, what the hell is he doing over here? He's a weird son of a bitch. I'll get your reaction. Do you think he did something crazy, outlandish with this, or just like, I just want to? Do you think this is a nothing burger, or do you think this is an item that should be taken all to social media? So he licks his bottom lip. Did you happen to see that, Grumpy?
Yeah, I thought he was sticking his tongue out at somebody for a second.
He did. He was something like that.
Who cares?
All over social media, blowing up all over social media. I thought it was something of a nothing burger too. I was like, yeah.
But here's the thing: they want to get these guys. They want to make. Maybe they look at football like no one's ever seen the sport before. Just came down from another planet. They plopped down in the Allianz Arena today, and they said, "Okay, let's see what's going to happen." There was a catch that was made today, and it was a nice catch by somebody from Seattle in the fourth quarter, and they go through it, and they're like, oh, this is what they look for to see if he held the catch through the ground. Okay, dude, it was called a touchdown. It was not getting overruled. You didn't need to go through and explain why it was a catch. Only if it's called a non-catch should you explain that shit. No, you don't need to explain a catch. It means you catch the ball and you don't drop it.
Gotcha.
I mean, ridiculous.
I think I kind of agree with Bill Cowher. I think this hire of Jeff Saturday is absurd.
A publicity stunt because he came right from television. Is that what he's saying?
No, I'll let you listen to it.
Okay.
I think that it just shows you we talk about the prerequisites in the work and the hours you have to put in to earn yourself the opportunity. Jeff Saturday, fantastic football player, been a TV personality. What type of extensive coaching experience does he have?
None.
Fucking none.
But here's the one thing
he's just gifted an opportunity like this. But I'll let you listen to Bill Cowher's response.
Okay.
You know, guys, I played in the National Football League for 5 years. I went on to become an assistant coach right from playing the coach, and I was assistant coach for 7 years. Blessed to be able to go to Pittsburgh and be a head coach at the age of 34 for 15 years. I'm speaking on behalf of the coaching profession. I know for a fact that Jeff Saturday was offered an opportunity to become an assistant coach with the Indianapolis Colts multiple times in the last 4 years. He declined, citing that he had a TV job and wanted to spend more time with his family. Mm-hmm. I get it.
That's fair.
I get it. Coaching is about commitment and it's about sacrifice. It's not just a job, it's a lifestyle. That being said, Jeff Saturday has taken a position this year as a consultant for the Indianapolis Colts. Mm-hmm. And he's talked to them weekly from his home in Atlanta. Wow. Now to find out on Monday, in that short period of time, he's now the head coach of the new Indianapolis Colts, overseeing a staff that he chose not to choose,
not to join,
because of a lifestyle. Jeff Saturday talked about in his first press conference the fact that he's going to use his second half as an opportunity to build his resume, to see whether or not he can coach in the future. I say to that, what about the assistants on the staff right now? The guys that were there in training camp, the guys that were there early in the morning and late at night, the guys that have gone through the first 6 weeks in that building, guys like Gus Bradley, Scotty Montgomery, John Fox, don't they deserve the opportunity for an owner to hire a coach who's never been an assistant at the college level or the pro level and overseeing a lot of candidates that are qualified for that job, as we see in Steve Wilkes, an opportunity to build a resume? It's a disgrace to the coaching profession. And regardless how this thing plays out, what happened in Indianapolis is a travesty.
You know, well said.
That's a strong comment. You usually don't hear those type of comments on the morning shows. You don't. He's not wrong.
Coming from a guy, right? When you work TV together, it didn't work exactly with them hand in hand, but when you work TV, the likelihood that you rub shoulders and have relations with other people who are in the same profession and background and work TV is pretty high.
Yep. I just hated I didn't realize that he had been offered the job numerous times as an assistant, which he obviously had no interest in, or he was a consultant. So is he out bad-mouthing Frank Reich and politicking for himself? And then he says it's for him to pad his resume? Why would you hire a guy like that?
I think that the point he brings up with all these people who have been with the team, who understand the dynamics of the team, who have been there, are in a spot to where they've been through training camp. They were up early. They were putting in the work hours, and this son of a bitch is a consultant. Never a fucking coach the day before in his life, even as an assistant in a college or professional levels, just handed a job and an opportunity when there are guys who have paid their dues, guys who have freaking worked and put the hours in. What does that make you feel like? It's like when they hire somebody who it's like, think about it in your job, or like as a job, how we can relate to it as people. You put your hours in, you've busted your ass turning nozzle A and building widget A. And a guy who's never done this.
They bring somebody with a real nice Twitter feed to come in to lead the troops. Something like that.
They bring him in to be the new manager who's never worked a day before in that applicable field in his life.
I didn't know all the assistant coaches he mentioned, but he mentioned John Fox.
Yeah.
John Fox led the Carolina Panthers and the Denver Broncos to
Super
Super
Bowls.
Bowls. He won I think
Yes.
Kubiak,
I thought
I
he
think
won a Super
Kubiak
Bowl.
was the coach when they won.
Okay.
But he led 2 teams to Super Bowls. At least I think he did. I don't know if he won or not. I'm confused now. Maybe you might want to look that up real quick, DJ. But he's had sustained success in the NFL for decades. If you're looking for an interim coach, I'm not looking for somebody who says he wants to pad his resume to see if he wants to continue this. This is on the owner, listening to a TV personality and getting hoodwinked. The Ursays have always been dopes. And I mean, from the old man to this guy, Jim Irsay.
He was fired. He didn't wind up winning the Super Bowl or making it to the Super Bowl. He wound up winning. They won 2. They went. He was fired after a 12-4 regular season and an 0-1 postseason record. That was his last year with the Broncos. Then he went to the Bears for 3 years and was below average with the Bears. And now he's just a senior defensive assistant coach with the Colts right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying he should be a full-time head coach, but if you're looking for an interim guy, I mean, maybe there's a younger guy on the roster that you want to look at, see how he could be a young guy, a head man. I mean, but if you're just looking at, okay, we're going to play out the string this year, let's put a steady seasoned veteran behind the bench. John Fox is your guy. If there's a young guy on the staff who you see a future with, okay, let's see if he can take the ball and run with it in an interim job. To hire Jeff Saturday, and particularly after he was consulting with the owner every week, that's a problem. Sounds like he talked him into hiring him, and he didn't want to do the work. And he just, I'm gonna badmouth Frank Reich. And his name.
Oh, he's so smart. He's so smart like that. Oh yeah, I tell you one thing. Garceau is so smart after his fantasy hockey teams, and he's been telling me all about this fantasy stuff. And he's so smart. He's been telling me about it. I think we need to move him right to the general manager spot. Come on in, Garceau.
How do those things usually pan out?
Not well.
And I'm not saying that Jeff Saturday doesn't have the potential to be a good NFL head coach. I don't know. No one knows.
Never fucking coached.
He's never been a coach. He's going to have to
you've been given the opportunity for a top 32 coach in the world for football. The NFL head coach in the NFL right now. Unreal.
And he mentioned Steve Wilkes for the Carolina Panthers. I'm glad he got another shot. He probably was in over his head in Arizona. But you know what? Sometimes, and I thought Josh McDaniels was going to be this, where you take a step back, you go back to being assistant, you learn from your mistakes, and you are better the second time. Steve Wilkes has learned from his mistakes. Maybe Josh McDaniels hasn't, but it's nice to see a guy get a second shot like that. I mean, Jeff Saturday, like I said, it's like taking a guy from Twitter and just put him in charge of a multi-million-dollar company because he's got a lot of followers. No.
Multi-million, you mean billion-dollar company, Grubby? A multi-billion-dollar.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Tony G says no lead is safe in the NFL this season.
Again, seen a lot of games come down to the last couple of series, don't you? Funny.
Yeah. Tony G's also saying, I couldn't watch the past podcast with you guys that we were on earlier. Watching live streams on Twitter is the worst, but I caught Grumpy telling that guy he's not funny and he needs to know his place. No, Tony G's. He was telling me that, Tony.
But I tell the other guy that right to his face, too. Don't worry.
Yeah, I tell you. Gungun, because the Dolphins are a really good team with a very good quarterback. No. They're that's not why they're successful.
Alexander, I cannot wait to meet Alexander next week. I cannot
kind of
wait.
put some respect onto his name. No, sorry, not yet.
Oh,
Gungun
I hope
says,
he should be wearing a Dolphins jersey to that game.
Gungun says, by this point, it is clear that Sorokin is better. Is it clear that Sorokin's better than Shesterkin? I think they're neck and neck, but I think they're even.
That's what I think. I don't think that he's significantly better than Shesterkin or worse than. I think they're just. You can see why they've had that rivalry between the two of them, though, can't you?
People last year freaking got on me all the time on Twitter and on social media when I said this year Shesterkin's playing better than Sorokin. Well, you're trying to maybe imply that Sorokin has years where he's going to be better than Shesterkin. I said, yeah, I'm sure there's going to be chances like that. As I said, they're both fantastic netminders. They're both top 3 goalies in the NHL. Two is a top-rated passer in the NFL.
Oh. I don't know, Alexander. I don't know. I can't wait to meet Alexander. I don't know. Are you taking the girl? I hope that he's taking the family to the game because I want to meet all of them.
Got a comment here as well. Drew L said, I'm just wondering when the Raiders are firing Josh McDaniels. He sucks seriously.
He'll last out the season.
Yep.
And
I
it's too
love
bad. All the games they lose are close.
Yeah.
They're all close. And not like they're getting blown out. It's like a play here, a play there, they win.
Tony G said, I love Rich Eisen.
Rich Eisen today was doing the early morning game. The NFL, they want to go to Germany now. Yeah. Why? Because more money. That's why. The greedy bastards, they just want to make money. But he had a funny line, and it kind of, the other guys didn't laugh at it at all. But he said, oh, another catch by Jacob Hollister. He says, another one of those a Seahawks tight end. Something about they all have long hair and they all catch the ball. They're all big and have long hair. Some shit like that. I thought it was funny. And then they showed him wearing a coat. Everybody else is wearing suit jackets. He's like, yeah, that's right. I'm cold. I like him a little bit more, but I feel that some of his lines are a little bit too fast for the company that he's keeping, if you know what I mean.
And then Rusty Spooner said, Brady looking like he was on a Life Alert commercial with that Wildcat botch. Help! I'm falling. I can't get up. Oh, goodness. Joseph C. said, I wonder if they put TCU in the college football playoffs if they go undefeated.
They will. They will.
They almost have to because Ohio State and Michigan play in 2 weeks and someone won't be undefeated anymore.
It's wrong. It's wrong. TCU should I don't care that they're undefeated. They play in a shitty conference, and they're a shitty team. Ohio State and Michigan are both better than them. I mean, what about Oregon? Oregon's playing really well. I mean, if they win the Pac-12, I think they should go. I mean, I just don't like it. I don't know. What did they say is going to be 12 teams? Is that the line of bullshit that they said us?
Expanded, something like that, yeah.
I'm sorry. Just make it 8. Just make it the top 8 teams. I know it's money.
Sucks. The Big 12 was awful.
I don't think anyone should get a bye though in the NCAA playoffs. No one should get a bye. No. TCU blows. I'm sorry.
Okay, the Big 12 blows. They're awful. It's an awful, awful, awful conference.
It's really good.
Alexander says, great job, Steven. Absolutely. Great job, my friend. Oh, let's talk about that. Alabama losing to freaking LSU. I mean, that was a freaking entertaining game, man. Unbelievably entertaining.
I mean, then Ole Miss kind of beat themselves yesterday. They dominated. Again, a coach going for it on 4th down. In the first quarter, you get the ball inside the Alabama 10, and it's 4th and 2, and you go for it? Put the points on the board at home. They lose by 3. I think they lost by 6. But the whole thing is they could have had a chance to win that game. My God, these coaches are just so stupid. They're so dumb. It scares me how stupid they are.
Alexander said, great job, Stephen. Goon says, is it almost a foregone conclusion that Brady bolsters beloved San Francisco 49ers next year?
If you're San Francisco, how do you not look at him when you see your options are Trey Lance and nobody else? You have to say Brady, don't you?
Well,
he's not
worried about upsetting the apple cart with Trey Lance. He's the future.
Okay, he's already proven he's not really a quarterback yet. He's not. He likes to run the ball a lot. If Tom Brady had signed with them when he left New England, they'd have 2 Super Bowl championships. 2. They would have won last year because Garoppolo wouldn't have shit the bed. Brady wouldn't have shit the bed like Garoppolo did against the Rams. And they would have absolutely beaten the Chiefs the first year with a 10-point lead in the 4th quarter. Somehow Jimmy Garoppolo finds a way to lose.
Drew L says, I swear I saw some college football game where the final score was 77-63. Sometimes it feels like defense just doesn't exist in college football.
All the great players play wide receiver and quarterback. That's where the best athletes play. No one plays defense anymore.
Joseph C. also saying, I know, I'm just wondering if teams jump up because, the conference that they're in regarding their rankings. Here's the thing. I think TCU should never get a chance. The Big 12 sucks ass. And I think Texas has a chance to be an okay program. They may be a rounding the bend with Sarkisian. But I'm like, the Big 12 sucks ass. They've got 2 ranked teams in the entire freaking conference. Oklahoma State and TCU. That's it.
Well, Texas is ranked.
No, they're not. They lost to TCU. They're not ranked.
Well, they were number 18 going into that game. I bet they don't drop, and they didn't get rolled. It was 17-10. I bet they're still in the top 25.
They're not.
Where are
They're
they?
not in the top 25.
Were they
What do you mean
getting
they
votes?
are? They're
Are
not.
they in the getting votes section?
Kansas State's 19th. But
Oh, there you
TCU
go.
hasn't played Kansas State.
So there's 3 now.
They've
So it's
played
not-
one ranked team all year.
I'm not saying they're a great team. I said they're not a great team. I said that. But if you go undefeated, that's the same thing, right?
TCU has played Kansas State. I misspoke. I apologize.
There you go. So, I mean, but
They've beaten the 19th overall team in the nation.
and they beat Texas, who's ranked number 18.
Texas is unranked.
They were 18th.
They're unranked. Texas is unranked, Grumpy.
They beat Oklahoma State.
They're ranked 24th.
So they beat Oklahoma State too.
So okay. So I'm sorry, they misspoke. They beat the 19th and the 24th ranked teams.
They beat Oklahoma as well.
Unranked.
I'm just saying. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, would you rather have a team like Central Florida make it? They play if you're undefeated and you play in a Power 5 conference, you're gonna make the Final Four. Period. I'm just glad Alabama will not make it this year.
I was about to say, do you think maybe they're losing a bit? Nick Saban maybe is losing a bit.
Yes, I do. His team doesn't play any defense anymore.
I was about to say that Alabama team for like a decade and a half was the best team in college football, no question about it. Year in, year out. Last year, we thought going into that game against Georgia, okay, wow, Georgia always finds a way to lose against Bama. Bama's got this one in the bag. Nope. Georgia takes care of business. And this year, right, they're not even going to be in discussion for the top 4, where that's kind of like pretty much the expectation, right? Top 4 every year, college football, the national champions every year.
I think that NIL has hurt Alabama.
Yep.
Certain. Their defense has been gradually declining. And I think the leap from 2 years ago to last year was significant. And last year to this year is drastic defensively. They're still good enough offensively, but I think the defense has been on the downside the last couple of years. That's why they're not as good. I just can't believe that LSU is somehow in the running to win the SEC. They've clinched the West Division. They'll be playing, I guess, Georgia.
Yep.
Can you imagine if somehow they beat Georgia? Does that throw them into the competition for the Final Four?
Absolutely will. Absolutely will. And it should.
Do you think is there any way that Georgia cannot make the Final Four, even if they lose in the SEC championship?
Even if they lose in the SEC championship game, they should still make the Final Four.
I think they're the best team in the.
I would take a one-loss Michigan or Ohio State in the Final Four as well. TCU should never be in the equation ever to be in a college. I'm sorry, they just haven't played it. Okay, they beat 19th and 24th overall team. The Big 12 is the worst. Okay, it's the second worst Power 5 conference. Only worst Power 5 conference is the Pac-12. The freaking Big 12 sucks something fierce.
Okay, but I understand what they want to do. Here's the thing: you're still in a Power 5 conference. It's better than having, UCF in there. No, you can't have one of those minor teams in there.
Like Tennessee, right? I don't think Tennessee's that. I think Tennessee is punched well above their weight. I saw them, barely squeak out a win in double overtime against Pittsburgh with their backup quarterback on a high ankle sprain who wasn't able to play the remainder of the season. I've seen that, right? I've seen that version of Tennessee. Tennessee with one loss deserves an opportunity above TCU. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that Tennessee. Here's the thing: Tennessee got exposed by Georgia, but they're fun to watch. Josh Heupel's done a nice job there in a couple of years, hasn't he? I mean, let's be honest. He's done a nice job there in 2 years.
I'd say so.
I mean,
I'd say so.
Right. Everyone was talking about who's their kid, the quarterback, Homer something.
No, you're talking about Hendon Hooker?
Yes. Okay, he's another guy, more athlete
quarterback. Yeah,
more athlete than quarterback.
Played at Virginia Tech. Originally committed to the University of Pittsburgh. played at Virginia Tech, went ahead and transferred to Tennessee, was a guy who was the backup to start the year last year. And during that Pittsburgh game, he came in to replace the starting quarterback and never looked back. And he's a guy who is, not, I don't think a great QB, but you look at the wide receiver, and I'm blanking on his name.
He's fantastic. I know I'm forgetting his name also, but he's really good. They're good. Here's the thing. They're really good offensively, not bad defensively, but George is just
Jalen
good.
Hyatt. Jalen Hyatt is his
That's
name.
it. Yeah.
Fantastic wide receiver on, an absolute tear. But like when you think about this, I mean, like look at Ohio State. Let's say Ohio State were to lose against Michigan. Ohio State still beat earlier on this year Notre Dame, who's found a way to fight their way back into a top 25 spot, sitting at 18th. Marcus Freeman, the guy who I gave many praises to, who you tried to shit on earlier on this year, has righted the ship as well. They beat number 18 Notre Dame, and they beat number 11 Penn State. They've beaten top-tier teams this year. And if they, let's say they don't win. Well, I still think they deserve a spot. I think they still deserve a spot, Grump.
And then you have, I'm trying to think of the other teams that are in that mix. Oregon.
Oregon, besides getting their asses whooped by Georgia, have pretty much, they're going to have to face off against USC. And I feel like
they'll beat USC. They'll beat USC.
Could you see right after if they beat USC, does Oregon deserve a chance to be in the Final Four?
Yes. I think they're better than TCU. I don't think TCU is that good. TCU is just going to be the sacrificial lamb to Georgia. That's all it's going to be. And then you're going to have Ohio State or Michigan. Man, wouldn't you love to see an Ohio State-Michigan rematch? I mean, wouldn't you love that? Have your first round of the playoffs, Ohio State-Michigan, the winner playing against the winner of Georgia and TCU. I think I don't care if Georgia loses the SEC championship game. They should still be in that tournament.
I think they're the best team in all college football.
They are the best team. And the SEC is, thank God that Clemson lost, because Clemson blows too.
I don't think much of Clemson. I think that they've beaten some top-rated teams. They have, but I don't think they're not the Clemsons of the Deshaun Watson and the Trevor Lawrence days. They don't have the same quarterback play. DJ Uiagalelei is a fraction of what he was, and a fraction of what he should be. And that Cade kid is just not ready.
True.
But I'm just looking at Clemson. They just recently beat They beat top 20 rated Florida State. They lost to Notre Dame. They've got still coming down the pipeline. They play UNC's rated 13th in the nation, Chapel Hill.
Well, I hope UNC wins, because I don't want to see Clemson's there. I want the best teams in there. That's what I want.
Well, let me ask you this. If Clemson wins out, do they find themselves in a spot to where they get into a college football playoff spot? They're rated 9th right now. If UNC continues to win games, that's going to be a top 10 matchup between Clemson and UNC to end the season.
You cannot make a leap from 9 into the top 4.
Other teams are going to lose from here on out. Okay. That's just how it's going to be.
They're not going to make a jump from 9. You have Oregon. You have to have a whole bunch of teams lose in front of you. A whole bunch. They're never going to get higher than the loser of Michigan, Ohio State. Never. I don't care what they do. The loser of Michigan, Ohio State will be ranked at worst 5. They're not going to drop lower than that. You're talking about the 2 and 3 teams in the country. They play one another. They're not unless it's a 50-0 blowout. They're not going to drop lower than 5. That's what's going to wind up happening. And TCU might move up to 3. Oregon is the team to watch. I don't know who's 6. Is that Tennessee? I don't know.
Pulled away from Tennessee was maybe they're 5. I'm sorry, I just pulled away from it.
Well, then they can slither back in. They're not going to. They're not going to play in the SEC championship game, though.
That's what I'm saying. They're not going to play in the SEC championship. 6 is LSU. 7 is USC. Number 8 is Alabama. Clemson is number 9. Oregon's 12. So you talk about Oregon maybe deserving a chance. They're 12th. Oh, they just lost. Fuck, Oregon just lost. I'm sorry.
Oregon lost. Okay.
Oregon lost to Washington.
Okay, well look at USC then, right? If USC beats Oregon and beats Notre Dame, did they deserve a top 4 spot?
No.
Okay. I don't think they do either. I don't think they're good enough.
They play
They're good enough.
UCLA, 16th rated UCLA, and then
Oh,
Notre Dame,
oh,
18th.
so-
So they got
okay,
two
so-
top. They got two tops. I mean, like, here's the thing: if they
Yeah.
went out, sure, I can validate
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I know they lost to Utah, who's a top 10 team, but
That's a game they should have won too.
yeah.
That's a game they should have won.
Yeah. I mean, like you've got if you went right, you're going to be in the Pac-12 championship. You're going to have 3 games, your last 3 games of the season, all against top 25 opponents. The likelihood you win those with Lincoln Riley as head coach, very low. So that's what I mean. I don't think USC continues to win. Right, Clemson's at 9. I don't see USC being a top 10 team and all is said and done, just with the schedule they've got. Do you see a 2-loss Alabama?
No freaking way. No,
that's what I
way.
mean. Like, could Clemson, if Clemson wins games and wins out, could a 1-loss Clemson team find themselves above Alabama if USC loses? And you think there's no way that if Ohio State or Michigan loses, and again, I don't think they should either.
Okay, Alabama never gets ahead of Tennessee. They never get ahead of Tennessee. They're not going into a championship game either. Alabama's not going into the SEC championship. It's Georgia and LSU. So Tennessee, unless they shit the bed, is going to be ranked higher than Alabama. There's no way Alabama makes it in with 2 losses. There's going to be too many teams with 1 loss.
This is a time period where it gets the crazy portion of the season. The teams some teams that are penciled in the win find ways to lose. Just what it is. I think, though, that Tennessee, if they win out their last 2 games, they will be penciled in. And the shitty thing is, you're right. If all the teams win that are supposed to win, either Ohio State or Michigan are missing out of the college football playoffs because
Because one team always loses at the end of the year. You can lose a game early and get your way back. You lose at the end, you're done.
Yep.
For the most part.
LSU still has LSU. I mean, like, you think about it, right? LSU's got a tough schedule. If LSU wins out with 2 losses, they're going to make it.
Because they're going to beat Georgia to win the SEC.
They've beaten Georgia, Alabama. They beat Mississippi, right? They beat a lot of those top-tier teams. They lost to Tennessee, and they lost the first game of the year to Florida State.
Okay.
So it's just like, it is, man, I'm telling you, it is getting to the wild portion of the college football season.
True.
Goon says, TJ and Grump, are you guys meeting up with any chaps from these chats for the upcoming Islanders Stars game? Absolutely. Yeah, why not? Yeah, we definitely have time. We'll do that. Absolutely. Or is it strictly quality father and son time? No, we'll absolutely meet up with the listeners of the show if they're in the area. Absolutely. Be quick with your phone if you spot a fan fight.
One thing I can guarantee you is that it will be landscape mode. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Let's see here. 1999. Yeah. The Mets should do a goof every day on Bobby Bonilla Day and either have the legend himself appear at the game or give fans a Bobby Bonilla bobblehead or t-shirt. That would be so funny.
They should make him show up and let the fans boo him. That's what they should do.
And he'll have that ear to smile. Hey, we're going to pay you another $100,000 to show up just because it's funny.
Yeah. Why not?
Boo. Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, maybe they'll cheer him. See, everybody makes a big deal about Bobby Bonilla thing, but did you know the Braves have a Bonilla situation?
I know they signed somebody long term, but I don't think it's as bad as Bobby Bonilla. He's on a planet all his own, honestly.
Oh, goodness gracious. D-Cut says, fire TJ, hire D-Cut.
That's a common refrain.
I've heard that a few times. Frank also says, I saw something that the Mets are trying to not pay like an extra $3 million to Bobby Bonilla. So they did that insane contract instead. What the fuck is that shit?
Yeah, that's what happens when you try to play it cheap. You wind up being a laughing stock.
Gosh, Tony G says, shut up, Artie Drew. And he says, I want to produce a DB Cooper documentary because there isn't enough, and to have TJ narrate and do the interviews.
Yes. Did you hear that DB Cooper was one of the best defensive backs in the TWA flight line?
Absolutely. Defensive back Cooper was fantastic. Joseph C says, how long before Tortorella's act runs old in Philly? I doubt he makes it past this season.
The way they're playing now, I don't know. Maybe by the end, after the Islanders sweep them 2 games in a row.
That's the only that you think they're going to sweep them, Grumpy?
I hope so. I hate the Flyers. I don't care if the Islanders lose every other game the rest of the year. Do not lose to the Flyers.
Jeez. Tony Cheese says, guys, don't forget to stay tuned to the TJ and the Grumpy Old Man after show with Tony Cheese and that poop burger Drew L. Oh gosh.
Oh, my God.
And Frank says those 2 Iron Maiden albums are epic, Grumpy Old Man. Pick something else. The Boss ain't better than Iron Maiden. No way.
Oh no, sorry.
Alexander said, I think you must re-sign Scott Mayfield. Let me ask you this. Scott Mayfield has 4 goals this year, on pace to have a career high in point total this season, and a guy who is a top 4 defenseman on any team in the NHL. Do you think, let's say Scott Mayfield, let's say he scores 10 goals. He's got 4 goals now. Could you see him scoring another 6 in this system?
No.
I mean, the highest he's ever scored is 5. But let's say he puts up 30 points and 10 goals. Just entertain this, Grumpy. What? You don't think it's possible?
No, I do not think it's possible. He's got 6 points on the year. Well, 5 points. I mean, he's got 4 goals.
He's got 6 points.
Okay, 6 points.
4 goals, 2 assists, 6 points in 16 games.
Let's extrapolate this throughout the whole season. We played 16 games.
He's on pace for hitting about 30 points this year.
He's not going to hit 30.
Okay. I'm just saying. That's what he's on pace to do right now. And you're in a spot to where
he's on a 20-goal pace right now. He's on a 20-goal pace, right? Okay, yeah. That's not going to happen. Stop. No.
Okay, let's even say he puts up 20 points, 10 goals, 10 goals, 15 assists, 25 points. That's fine.
It's not going to happen.
I could see him getting paid $5+ million a year.
I think he's going to get paid that regardless.
Yeah. Having a career year in a contract season. Like he's I always like Scott Mayfield, but he's going to get paid the big bucks. I don't think we're going to have the cap to re-sign him, unfortunately. Drew L said, I need Herbert to go off. I wanted the money league already, but Herbert helps me get first place. Gugu says, TJ Grumpy, how did the appearance on the other podcast go today? What was it called again? I'll check it out tomorrow. The Caps Chirp podcast.
But I don't think he posts it until Thursday.
It's listened to on like the podcast you can listen to is on Thursdays and the post will go down. But like I know it's on Twitter and everything like that, Facebook. D-Cut says, fire James Franklin. Amen. I don't think James Franklin's a good coach. He's a fantastic recruiter, though. Guy recruits top 5 recruiting classes every year. It never beats a good team. He's a fraud.
Why is D-Cut trying to curry favor with you, TJ?
No, he's a Penn State fan. He doesn't. I'm telling you, James Franklin is not a good coach. He's a fantastic recruiter, a shitty coach. He's Lincoln Riley in a Penn State uniform.
I like him. I
know, and you like Lincoln Riley too. Both good recruiters, shitty head coaches, awful head coaches. Simple.
I like them both. You're right. I do like both of those guys. I do.
Do we even have a third pairing defenseman to replace Mayfield? Nope. Chirpin' Caps, I think is okay. It's called Chirpin' Caps. That's what it's called. It's not on YouTube. It's on Spotify or something. Yeah. It'll be on Thursday on Spotify, I think. Rusty Spooner said the Mets, us Mets should move DeGrom to a closer. Not starting. Oh, he'd win so many games from us coming in from the 7th to the 9th because they can get, they can use him all the time while letting him rest too. And best of both worlds.
Why would he do that? He's not doing that. And you think he could pitch day after all those injury issues?
No, we got a lot of comments so grumpy. Andrew L says here, did you see Derek Carr's post-game presser? No. Did you happen to see that, Grump?
I cannot imagine it being good.
If somebody sends it to us, we'll look at it. The Alexander says the 49ers don't have a first-round pick for 3 years.
Bring in the hero of the people. He'll lead you to a Super Bowl championship.
I was about to say. Absolutely. Gungun says, which franchise is a stinky Super Bowl? The Vikings or the Bills? I guess it's dead even draw. 4 painful karate chops to the private parts area.
I want to say the Vikings. Because they were no.
The Bills were bad for a long time, man.
Yeah, but the Bills, I mean, they made 4 Super Bowls in a row. The Vikings, I mean, at least the Bills, I don't know. I'm going to say Vikings.
No, I meant Kirk Cousins. Oh, no, I didn't see Kirk Cousins post-game presser. Oh, God, no. Bellows for the Flyers, 0 goals, 0 assists, 0 points, -2. Besides that, he's been solid. He's only played 3 games. But yes, I did see that. Well, here's the thing. We went ahead and sent down the guy that we had to free up cap space to waive Kiefer Bellows for. We sent him down to Bridgeport. So, what the hell? What planet are we living on for Lou Lamoriello?
My whole thing is, if you didn't want him to be part of the team, why did you resign him? Let him go.
Amen. Amen. Gungu says, Grumpy, you're sitting on the other end of the sofa tonight. What gives?
Keeping things fresh. Shake him up. Keep the people guessing.
Alexander said, see, that's a double standard, guys. Because of his weapons, you're going to say the same thing about Herbert and Robert. Okay. Does Justin Herbert have 2 top 10 wide receivers in the NFL? Absolutely not.
No, he does not.
People are going to say Mike Williams or Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen's not a top 10 guy.
He's out. He's hurt. I can't remember the last time he played. Week 1. And then he played a couple of snaps 3 weeks ago. You want to know why? Because I made a trade with my nephew. He talked me into taking a guy on the damn injury list, which I never do. I'm like, okay. And I have never played him. He just sits on my bench.
Oh, man, this is a 10-minute long interview. Sorry, Alexander. I appreciate you sending that. I won't be able to look at it. If somebody has the clip of it, I'll try to find it on I'll let you read that.
And look at what Rodgers did today. I mean, I'm not a Rodgers fan, but he's really good in the regular season. And, hey, he's turned Christian Watson into a star in one day.
Yeah. I'll let you read that.
D-Cut says, Wallstrom, 2 goals in 2 games playing with Brock, 2 goals in 13 games playing with Barzal.
Okay,
maybe,
so apparently, okay.
Maybe D-Cut is saying that we should play Wallstrom with Brock. Why not move Bavillier to the first line? What the hell? Why not?
He does not like Matt Barzal. That's for sure.
So he's jealous. He's jealous of his hair.
I'll let you watch Derek Carr's post game.
All right, Derek Carr.
I love Josh. I love the car. I love our coaches. They've had nothing but success, way more success than I've ever had.
In New England.
And
with Tom Brady.
I'm sorry.
I'm not Tom Brady.
He's fucking crying.
Derek,
the season's fucking over. The Raiders season, that's it. The fucking season's over. Pack it up, Raiders fans. The season is fucking over. It's done. It's done.
You can't have your quarterback can't be crying and rocking back and forth
on what is this? Week 9?
They're not making the playoffs. What are they? 2-8, 2-7?
I don't know off the top of my head, but they're not good. They're 2-7.
And I think they've lost most of their games within one possession. Most of all of them.
Yep. I'm sorry. You got to be freaking, dude. Look at the games they've. Some of these games. Okay, I'm going to go back to the regular season. They lost to the Chargers by 5 points. First game of the season. They lost in overtime against the Cardinals by 6.
Oh, that's a game they should. Man, oh man,
they lost
was a game where that freaking Renfro fumbled on 2 consecutive plays. The first one got called back, and the second one gets run back for a touchdown. And they were in field goal range.
We're gonna show the rest of that clip here in a second too. But yeah, the Chargers by 5, the Cardinals by 6 in overtime. They lost to the Titans by 2. The Broncos, they beat the Broncos. They lost to the Chiefs by 1.
That's another one they should have won.
Saints by 24.
That was a blowout.
Jags by 7, and the Colts today by 5.
Yeah, every game's been like one possession.
Yeah, tough.
One possession.
Tough. And they're gonna be like, "Oh man, we were so close. We should have made the postseason. We lost all these games by one possession. We were lucky."
Except for New Orleans, they were throttled by New Orleans.
But you understand? I was kind of using that as paying homage to. Okay.
I understand. Sorry for being emotional. I'm just pissed off about some of the things, that a lot of us try and do just to practice what we put our bodies through just to sleep at night.
Hang up the fucking cleats, buddy. Hang up the fucking cleats. I'm gonna make it easy for you, Derek. Hang up the cleats, buddy.
TJ, when you played, did you ever cry after a game?
Oh, fucking hang up the cleats. If you're having a crying post-game interview talking about how tough it is to sleep at night, fucking hang up the cleats. You've made enough money. Hang up the fucking cleats, buddy. Oh, I'm sorry. This is pathetic. Hang up the cleats, then. Sorry, hang up the cleats. You sit there in ivory. Hang up the cleats.
I don't
You're
think
a quarterback. You take the minimum. You take a minimum amount of contact every single game.
I've been doing a sympathetic, body rock with Derek Carr here. I don't think you appreciating it, honestly.
Man, hang him up. Hang him up. He's been shitty this year too. 2,100 yards passing, 13 touchdowns, and 5 picks. 13 touchdowns with Darren Waller, top 5 tight end, and Devontae Adams, top 5 wide receivers. 13 passing touchdowns.
Can I just tell you that the hero of the people threw an interception today after having 399 straight passes without an interception? He was 3 away from the record, which is owned by Aaron Rodgers. He's also in 3rd place. I was a little bit disappointed that he threw that interception. I wanted him to have every single record that was ever devised for a passer, but it doesn't look like that one's going to happen.
Okay, sounds good.
With all that effort, pisses me off. Pisses a lot of guys off. It's hard knowing what some guys are doing. Like I said, just to practice. They're putting their body just to sleep at night. Like, just so we could be there for each other. And I wish everybody in that room felt the same way about this place.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Finally, at the minute 25 mark, we come up with what really is.
Okay, so here it is. Okay, I'm sorry. Let me take it back. You don't need to retire just quite yet. He's upset that people don't give a fuck that they're losing. I'm saying the F word a lot. They are losing a lot of games, Grumpy, and people do not care is what that means. The locker room doesn't care that they're getting trounced and that they're 2-7.
Have you been on teams like that?
Yes. Absolutely.
That's like the worst feeling, isn't it?
I was one of those guys.
I tried to set you up to be a hero.
I'm not gonna lie. I was like, okay, cool. I did what I was supposed to do. My job. I did my job. Did the other people around me do their job? No, I don't control what anybody else does. That's why I never got emotional and cried like this. Derek Carr, if you're doing your job a little better, if you were throwing the football a little better, maybe you'd have less to cry about. Maybe he should be taking ownership himself instead of saying people aren't caring in the room. But maybe they are. Here's the thing. For a quarterback to come out and make this public about people not caring in the room, maybe you should handle that internally. You're captain of the freaking team. Maybe you should handle that internally, buddy. Just maybe.
I don't know.
And as a leader, that pisses me off, if I'm being honest.
Good for him. I like him.
Derek,
He's not a quitter like you.
I'm not a quitter. I never quit on the team, but I didn't care. Win or lose is like, okay, great. I'd want to win, but it wasn't like I needed to die for it.
Not surprised your career ended when it did.
There it is. That's why, Grumpy. But you never catch me crying. There's just people who aren't caring enough in the room. If there are people who aren't caring enough in the room, talk about it to the people in the freaking room. What do you think complaining and bitching and moaning and crying on national TV is going to do for you? Absolutely nothing.
Okay.
What are you watching, Grumpy? Can I get your attention? Stopping to pull it away from
I'm not watching anything. I'm just all episode
I've been watching the TV lights glare off your face. Effing TV off, bro. Effing TV off, Grumpy.
Here's the thing. You caught me off surprise with that last comment. I didn't realize you were a quitter.
What do you mean? I didn't care if the team won.
You're not Derek Carr, that's for certain.
Yeah, I wasn't crying over the team.
You're not a leader like Derek Carr.
I wasn't crying and trying to air shit out in public. If we had an issue, you talk about it and settle in the room. No respect for a guy like that. Zero. You're a leader of the team. You're the freaking quarterback, and you can't even handle your own freaking internal affairs? No respect. I liked some of the things he said before. Zero respect for Derek Carr. Zero respect. Tua belongs in the vegetable aisle. Not the Hall of Fame. Holy shit, Rusty Spooner.
That's sharp, man.
The blokes, which movie scared the dickens out of you?
The first Halloween movie and Jaws. Both of them I saw in theaters. Jaws, I was a kid. Well, whatever. That was scary as shit. And Halloween. Woo. First one. That was the first movie where somebody came back from the dead when they were killed and they got up. Dun it.
I was not a fan of Roger the Rabbit when that guy blew up. I killed your father. I was not a fan of that as a kid.
That was your scariest movie was Roger Rabbit?
Yeah.
Hey, Mama,
I was not a fan of that at all.
Guys,
Yeah, I was not a fan of that. Tony Cheese says Mark Sanchez couldn't play in weather.
True.
Yeah, why is your face, Grumpy, changing colors? Because you got the freaking TV on, bro. Don't lie to me. I know you just lied to me right there, Grumpy.
I didn't say the TV was on. I'm just I'm not watching it.
Yeah. Okay, sure. Got a comment here. Joseph C saying, pretty sure TJ or Son X could succeed with Waddle, Hill, Gesicki, Mostert, and Wilson.
True. That's a lot. Those are good weapons right there. Maybe that's where the hero of the people will go in Miami. They wanted him. The owner certainly wanted him over Noodles. That's for certain.
Rusty Spooner said the hit that Juju that was late on Juju should be legal. Juju jucked his helmet. It's football.
Yeah, I thought the guy
you can't do that shit anymore.
I even thought the guy was easing off, honestly. Yeah, I see much more egregious hits than that.
Grump, what type of work did you do for Son X today? A while back, I remember you helped him with a floor.
I was hanging up pictures today for him.
Apparently Son X is allergic to a hammer and a nail. Doesn't know how to do that. Go ding, 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 ding. Doesn't know how to use a stud finder either. But okay.
I had to help him out.
I know it's really tough when you go ahead, beep, when you you put that little machine, beep, and it goes ahead and beeps for you.
He couldn't. Well, I'm not going to badmouth him.
Oh, God. D-Cut says, I told you, clowns. Josh McDaniels is awful. Yes, I said it. Hold on, D-Cut. What are you talking? We're on the same team with this. I've also said before the season started, Kyler Murray's he's an average Joe. You call me crazy. Oh, no, it's because he didn't have DeAndre Hopkins. Even with DeAndre Hopkins, average Joe. Gungun says, TJ, as a young buck, what, when, and how was the angriest you ever saw?
Oh,
there's a lot, too many times to remember.
Oh, there's one, though.
There's that one video that Son X sent me. Was like, you're the stupidest motherfucker to ever breathe.
No, it's not. That's not what he said. That's not it.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Here's the thing. All I have to say is the warden. Well, Son X feels that video would go viral. And it was so funny because Son X was filming when TJ did something stupid, as usual.
I dropped a plate and broke a plate in the house.
And he thought it was hilarious. And, he had a friend over, another like another son. And it was hilarious. And the warden said something at the end that everybody who hears it dies for. You have to know the warden to know that what she said at that moment was so not her that it makes everyone laugh. And it's known in this house as the plate video.
D-Cut says that drunk Irsay ruined the Colts season.
Well, I don't know. I think it's ruined before he even did that.
Gungun says, Grumpy, could you do as good of a job as Jeff Saturday will probably be as an NFL head coach?
I have just as much experience as he has.
He's got 1 day extra experience.
That's right. I could slap guys coming off the sideline. That seemed like that's all he was doing today.
Gungun says, by the way, didn't Aaron Boone not have a drop of coaching experience before the Yankees gave him the keys to the kingdom? Isn't that the same with the Jeff Saturday situation?
And how's that worked out for the Yankees?
Alexander says it's him and his wife. Well, there we go. We'll get to meet the lovely.
I cannot wait to see Mrs. Alexander.
Mrs. Diaz. James F. says the Raiders are a joke. To lose to a coach who's never coached in the NFL, I'm done with this team. Done! It's hockey season. James F., welcome aboard. Woo woo! A hockey train coming right around the square in the corner. Woo,
see, TJ, that's the way to read a comment. Not like your usual lame-ass reading of the comments.
I don't even know what that means.
You read it with a little bit of excitement. You put a little inflection in your voice. You pretended like you were the one who wrote the comment.
I do it all the time, Grump. I'm a fantastic worder. D-Cut says, TJ with another millennial meltdown over Texas. I tell you, the Longhorns and the Sooners are now in the SEC West. They're not in the Big 12 anymore. They're out for this year, and they will be for next year.
You're not in Kansas anymore, Toto.
What do you think their records are going to look like when they go to the SEC?
I think
average teams, right? 6-5 seasons.
No, I think they'll be better than that, but they're not going to be, 11-1 or 12-0. That won't be the case. SEC's too hard, just too hard.
Rusty Spooner said TCU is a top 4 team this year. 100%. My Buckeyes are the best, but TCU is certainly top 4. They're stacked also.
I'm not sold on them.
2 wins against miserable Big 12 teams that were ranked. Who even knows what's going to happen at the end of the year? Because hold on, D-Cut, we've always said this. We've always said.
I think D-Cut is trolling you, TJ.
That's what he must be doing. Okay, yeah, D-Cut. Yeah, I told you guys Clemson was overrated. A vintage Clemson team this season, not a vintage Clemson team this season. The ACC is the weakest division in college. Wow. And Clemson is way overrated. The ACC is a bust like the Pac-12. Wow.
I think the Pac-12 is better than the ACC.
Okay, so you think when Florida State beat LSU earlier this year, that doesn't count?
I don't care. What was that game?
Florida State's
game one. Game one.
Hold on. Every fucking game matters.
Game one.
Game one. Yeah. It's
game one.
It's 1/13 of the season.
I'm gonna say the Pac-12 is better. The ACC is terrible. They're terrible.
Let the bowl games do the talking. Brandon Staley is an embarrassment as an NFL head coach.
100% agree. 100%.
Are you guys doing any watch-alongs with any college football games this season? I'd like to. Maybe. We just got the schedule's just all fucked.
When is Ohio State, Michigan? Is that next week?
2 weeks.
Okay.
Did you guys watch Yellowstone? Kevin Costner is really good.
I have not watched today's episode. We've been doing this podcast, but yes, I watch Yellowstone religiously.
The Raiders should wait until the season's over. Fire McDaniels and go get Sean Payton. They don't re-sign Carr and go get Aaron Rodgers. James Franklin can get a good, good above 500 record, but that's as far as he'll get. It won't take you to the next level.
Maybe.
He just doesn't beat the good teams. Like Lincoln Riley doesn't beat the good teams. I mean, like the really good teams. He's a good coach, but he's not great. And if you want to be a team that really competes for national championships or has a chance, you've got to have a great coach, great team. Andrew L. said, no. Again, I was referring to Kirk Cousins. I said Kirk gets too much disrespect. Okay, gotcha. Well, there it is. Frank C. says, who is your pick to win Coach of the Year in the NFL this season if it ended today?
Satriani, no? Or O'Connell with Minnesota.
There's a few. I think like O'Connell, sure. Salah's up there. I could see McDaniel. I could see McDaniel from the Dolphins also getting it too. First-time head coach with a 7-3 record for the Dolphins. I could see him maybe getting that. Peter Poindexter.
But you're talking about an undefeated team. And O'Connell's a first-year guy in Minnesota with 1 loss.
Who's undefeated again?
Philadelphia.
Oh, shit. That's right. They had a bye week this week, right?
Yep. No, they play tomorrow night against Washington. So
okay, gotcha. That's why I'm like, why the hell am I? Okay, gotcha. They play Washington.
They'll be 9-0.
Yeah. I guess, yeah. Eagles head coach. Rangers and the Devils beat the Coyotes easily. Not us.
Yeah. It's concerning for me.
D-Cut says Carr needs many therapy sessions. The man has issues.
It's true, he does.
Oh, Rusty Spooner says Bill Belichick we'll get Derek Carr next season. Watch, and it'll probably be really good. Shaking my head. FML. I'm not kidding. I could see Bill doing that.
No. You got a guy who's going to be a third-year player as your starting quarterback. You're not going to. Here's the thing. He's never going to come off the hip and pay somebody more than he gets paid. You wouldn't let Brady make that much money. You think he's going to give it to Derek Carr? Stop.
Alexander says that's my quarterback. Remember that when I defended Tony Romo. Tony Romo's a really nice guy, but he was a good quarterback. That was about
not great. He was good.
Good. He was more than He was a serviceable quarterback. There's a lot of those. Like,
you know what he won?
Prescott,
you know what he won?
Nothing.
Just as much as Tua. Nothing.
Like Dak Prescott's a guy who I think in my mind has taken a little bit of a step back this year.
Yes, agreed.
I had very high, expectations for him, and it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe not as much. D-Cut says, wow, Joel Embiid, 59 points tonight, 26 in the fourth quarter, and a comeback win. Holy
That's
shit.
A guy that I thought would be a good pro, but I never expected him to be this good. He's fantastic. It's funny how systems can limit what a player is in college. I mean, because he's been phenomenal in the pros.
Mm-hmm. And D-Cut says, The Exorcist kept me up for weeks after that chick's head spun around.
I remember watching the commercials for The Exorcist, and they play them all the time. The scariest movie of all time. And it was, okay, it was a good movie. I'm just saying it was a good movie. I didn't think it was super scary, but man, it was good. It was really good. Not a slasher film, but and I love the end. The end was great.
Alexander said, God, so much Tua haters. It's ridiculous. Yeah, I'm one of those, Alexander.
It's almost just fun to pick on Tua now, honestly.
Yeah, I was about to say it's just kind of like part of the staple of the show. Even if he's winning freaking MVP trophies, I'm still going to be shitting on Tua. I don't care. I'll find a way.
Yeah.
James F. said, guys, the Raiders locker room has been going on. It's been going on like that for weeks. No chemistry on this team anymore.
That's
an indictment for the leaders on that team.
Yeah, without a doubt.
I mean, shit, man.
They need somebody like the hero of the people to come in and set them straight. Because they toe the damn line. Hey, look what he did with that miserable Tampa team. He turned that sorry squad around.
Like I said, 5:30 start time tomorrow for our Islanders, gents. Absolutely. And Alexander, we covered that earlier on. That Justin Jefferson catch was fantastic. Oh, thank goodness we went an entire show with no mentions about Alexander's uncle. Oh, there's no map bars.
D-Cut taking shots, man. Shots fired. D-Cut
would probably be great friends with Alexander's uncle with how much they shit talk about
Oh, very true.
It's
very
like talking
true.
shop for them. Tony Cheese says the leprechaun still freaks me out.
Oh, the leprechaun.
I've got one more thing I want to show you today, Grumpy, before we wrap the show up.
Okay.
Now, have you ever heard what a weird flex is?
Weird flex?
Do you know what that means?
No. I watched that weird Al Yankovic thing on Roku. It was pretty funny.
Something when they say weird flex, but okay. It's like when somebody does something that is going to it's going to make you respect them there because it's something that, it's special, so valuable, but you're like, it's not really the case. It's like a weird flex, but okay.
Why is this not in landscape mode?
Because this guy who's filming this is also equally as dumb. I couldn't tell you why this is also not in landscape. I had to figure all these people film TikToks. All these are people who are filming TikToks. You're like, I got to put this on my TikTok or Snapchat. Shit, maybe it's your Snapchat. I don't know what it is, but I'm like, my God, you got to film this the right way. I want you to watch this.
Snapface and every other damn thing.
Watch this. It's got 18.1 million views. Look at my Costco card. Did you happen to see that? What the
wow?
Is going on here? Wow!
I wanted to see the girl who was dancing.
Card.
Let's see. I see that. Wow! That has that. Hold on. That has 18 million views.
Yes.
The plate video would break records. If that's 18 million.
Wow! A Costco card. Wow!
It's funny because SunX said that thing would go viral. It would have millions of views.
Yeah, half he doesn't. D-Cut says, fun show, guys. Is TJ taking another 6-week break from the Islanders Never Say Die podcast? No. We'll be next Wednesday, as always. But, man, we're at the end of the show, Grumpy. What do you want to say before we wrap things up today?
I want to say love and laughter to everyone who listens and even those who don't. From TJ and a grumpy old man.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in and listening to the show. As always, we'll be live this upcoming Thursday at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Until then, have a great start to your work week. We'll see you Thursday, 9 p.m. Andrew L. said, we need the plate video.
The warden will not let it happen.
I about to say she'd have to approve that, and there's no way the warden's going to approve that.
That's not happening.
And James F. said, why is the game tomorrow at 5:30 so early? No idea. Your guess is as good as mine. Frank C. said, why would anybody put anything on TikTok? I guess it's just my generation. Yep.
Yeah.
Right there with you. And good night, Alexander. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you again, grumpy old man.
My pleasure.